I'm Danielle Duplisea, and most recently I'm the 2017 Canadian Women's Amateur Disc Golf Champion. I've been playing with Frisbees for a long time. Started out with Ultimate in 2004 at the ripe old age of 11. I came into Ultimate because one of my teachers, my grade 6 science teacher, played, and she brought it to our school and sort of organized some practices and then a little mini tournament with some other schools, and I really took to it. I really enjoyed it and liked it, and so I started playing then, and that sort of became my sport from then on. I'd done a lot of other things growing up: swimming, horseback riding, basketball, played soccer too. I was doing music and other things, but for some reason Ultimate just kind of hooked me in, and I kind of ran with it from there. But I didn't start playing disc golf until I guess it would have been 2014. When I moved to Thunder Bay, I was playing Ultimate at the time, but Ultimate hadn't started in terms of the university club, and Summer League had finished and Fall League hadn't started, and I found out there was a disc golf course there. And so I had played before, but not anything serious. When I was in high school, I went to the National Ultimate Training Camp in Amherst, Massachusetts a few times, and the first year I went, everyone got a buzz in their players pack, and so I had a buzz, and there was a little object course sort of set up around the campus that we played, and it was part of an evening activity for Disc Olympics. Disc golf was one of the things, but I couldn't throw the buzz. It wasn't an Ultimate disc. I was pretty hell-bent on Ultimate at the time, so I didn't really pay it any attention. And then I played on an actual course with actual baskets, probably in 2010, in Maine at DR Disc Golf in Orrington, and I couldn't throw the discs again, and I had a beast and a buzz at the time, and couldn't make it work, but it was fun, and we stopped on a road trip, and it was great. And then, yeah, I showed up at the course in Thunder Bay with my beast and my buzz, and someone gave me a bolt, I think, and I threw it and it went, and it flew properly, and I could throw it. It was the right weight, and it was a little bit understable, so something just clicked, and I was like, this is great, I really like it. And so from then on, I was hanging out at the disc golf course all the time, and a few weeks later I played in a local tournament, and the rest is history, as they say. So disc golf has been my focus the last few years. I've really stepped back from Ultimate. I played a bit in Thunder Bay in League and sat on the board and that kind of thing, but I've really shifted to disc golf, and I think a lot of that sort of culminated in September with my win at Nationals. So in 2015, I went to the Amateur Worlds in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and I didn't really understand that I had qualified or could qualify. It was my first year as a PDGA member. After my first fall playing in Thunder Bay, I went back to Fredericton for the summer, and I started playing in what was the infancy of the Maritime Disc Golf Association, or the MDGA. We had a kickoff season event in Sackville. There wasn't a permanent course there at the time, but they set up a temporary course, and we had a little tournament, and I had a great time. I really enjoyed it, and so played a few other events in the Maritimes that summer, and was convinced to sign up for a PDGA membership. And yeah, I didn't really understand how it worked to qualify for Worlds, and so when I got the email in April of 2015, I was really surprised, and I was like, oh, it's super soon, it's far, I can't go, I can't make it happen. And a friend of mine said, well, if you want to go, like, make it happen, fundraise, figure it out, like, there's a way to make it happen if you want to do it. And I was like, all right, well, I'm mobile, I can do it, like, I don't really have too much time me down, I can sort of make a decision and go. And so I fundraised, and I went, and I really didn't know anybody else going, but I sort of picked up and went, and ended up having a really good time. I met a lot of people, played a whole lot of disc golf. I think there were 9 courses involved that sort of for the whole event. I didn't play all of them in competition, but I played a few of them sort of warming up for the week too. So that was more disc golf than I'd ever played, and more courses than I'd ever seen in one place before. So that was a really neat experience, and it was my first time playing in a big PDGA event. Like I hadn't even played an A tier at that point, and going and playing a major was pretty cool. yeah, and surprisingly, I did pretty well. I came 13th. I was the top Canadian finisher that year. So it was a great experience, and it was really neat to me to see sort of how big disc golf was. And like that wasn't even the whole community, it was just the AM side, right? So it was sort of my first taste of disc golf's potential, and it was a really neat experience, and I really hit the ground running after that and played some bigger events, and have had a lot of success since then. So it was kind of a springboard. I guess when I started playing, like I said, I was 11 years old, and it was co-ed for the juniors, but we didn't really have a juniors program of any kind that was big or super structured or anything. I think that first year they started a sort of Wednesday night, or two, maybe it was, I don't know, some night before league. There was maybe a dozen of us who would get together and throw around, and then all the adults would run off and play league, and that was it. And that was co-ed, even from that age. And then I was really into it, but there was nothing aside from that sort of one night pickup type juniors thing. And so that following winter, I went out with the club team, like the adult club team in town, Spawn, and they've always had an open club policy, and they sort of let me do conditioning and practice with them indoors. And I don't know if any of them thought I would stay, but Donnie McPhee, recent Canadian Ultimate Hall of Fame inductee, was, happy to let me tag along, and it sort of stuck. And so from then I went on to playing club mixed with them, and I played mixed for, I don't know, probably 6 years, and then I played 1 year at nationals with juniors when it was still mixed, and that was great. It was my first experience at nationals. And then the following year, when I aged out of juniors, I played women's for the first time, and it was a really different game. Mixed also has a different sort of community and team culture, I find. Ultimate in itself has a really unique team culture, but there is a difference between a mixed team and a women's team. They're both good in their own way, but playing mixed just seemed to jive a little bit more with me. In terms of sports, like, didn't matter what I was doing. I've never been a super absolutely competitive person. I mean, I like to compete, obviously. I do compete fairly regularly, but I also like to have a really good time. And maybe it was just the culture of the particular mixed team I was on, but I found mixed to have a little bit more of that type of element, and I think that's what drew me in even more. And women's is great too, but it's definitely different. It was a lot more focused, and yeah, it was just a different experience, but I definitely prefer mixed. What originally drew me in was that I was playing co-ed, and Frisbee in the beginning sort of is a level playing field. Like, no one's good at throwing a Frisbee right off the bat. It's not a skill that is transferable from any other sport, really. It's kind of its own unique thing. And so what I found as an 11-year-old starting to play the game of Ultimate is that boys and girls are very evenly matched, more or less, especially in the 6th grade, like even size-wise. Like, a lot of the girls are bigger than the boys at that point too. So I found everyone was kind of on the same page at the beginning, and I happened to take to it pretty well and pretty easily. And so it was just something that I excelled at from the beginning and was able to sort of keep up with, and I really enjoyed that part of it. And I guess then moving forward, the team culture really kind of sucked me in, and it was, you were training together, but you were also doing other things outside of Frisbee. And I mean, we were going to movies together and doing theater stuff and all kinds of things. And so that kind of kept me in. And then more recently, disc golf has been really nice. I had a back injury last winter, and so disc golf was a lot easier to get back into than Ultimate. And so I've really been able to kind of run with that while I've been dealing with that. And it's been an easier transition than going back to Ultimate. So being able to still keep up with a pretty high level sport while trying to recover from an injury has been nice. And I guess the nice thing is I can compete and I can go to big tournaments and things, but I also can just play whenever. It can be as casual or as competitive as I want it to be. And the other nice thing I find about disc golf is that I can play with my parents. My parents are both in their 60s, and they do play, and it's something we enjoy doing together. I can also play a lot of my friends have small kids now, and so we can go all do that together. And I think it's, for me, probably going to be a pretty long time running sport. Like, I feel like I'll be able to play well into my senior years, which is great. A lot of people do that, and you see them, and it's a pretty friendly sport for that. It's a really easy way to stay active and enjoy being outside. I love just being outdoors, whether it's on my bike or playing Frisbee sports of any kind. So yeah, I think having transitioned to disc golf gives me a little bit more longevity than ultimate. I mean, ultimate players, yeah, you can play for a while, but I feel like there's an earlier expiry date maybe. So yeah, I think moving forward, I'm probably going to play a lot more disc golf than ultimate. I think ultimate may weave its way in and out in various ways. But I think in terms of disc golf, I had a pretty big year last year with getting ready for nationals and that kind of thing. I played a lot of tournaments. I just moved to a new city that has a pretty big offering in terms of being close to the GTA, having the Quebec Disc Golf Tour close by. Ottawa has a pretty burgeoning scene themselves, so there's been lots going on here, whether it's sanctioned events or not. There's a few private courses close by that host lots of fun stuff. So I think just the opportunity to be involved in that going forward is going to be good, but I think I'm going to play less disc golf next summer. I'm going to spend some time on the bike trails here and do a few other things, but definitely nationals on PEI back home with the MDGA is on my radar, and it's going to be a fantastic week to play Frisbee and enjoy the Maritimes. So that's definitely going to be a highlight of the coming disc golf season, I think.